Let's take a look at drag down. So drag down is one of those moves that is found in the 13 postures, that it keeps being repeated in the form, so it's a fairly important move. All right, so drag down is essentially here to here, up and push. So it's called drag down, obviously, because we're dragging something down. It's made out of some of the core 8 components that we have. Remember, there's the 8, it's related to the Bagua, the 8 moves. So here we have roll back, and then here we have pluck or yank. Let's call it pluck, right down here. And then raising the knee, and then pluck and push. So, and this split that we have is because of the breath. So this is inhale, inhale, exhale. So that's the beat that the form is giving us, is telling us. So at the very beginning, roll back on the inhale. Right, so that's the deflection. There's a punch coming to the belly. Drag down is specifically to a hit to the lower body. So here we have a deflection of the hit. Palm of the hand captures the elbow of your opponent. And then on the exhale, we shift, we slide the foot forward as we yank. So the thing to remember here is, like, as we sit down on the right leg, my left hand in this case is doing the deflection, the yank. As I shift the weight and slide the foot forward, now it's my right hand which is full. Left leg is full, right? We have the diagonal across the body. So that's why I know that this is yank here. So I'm pulling, I deflect, and then I pull. You can see why the foot slides forward, because if there's a punch coming towards me, so there's somebody in front of me, and I simply yank on their arm, if I deflect and yank, I'm pulling them into my space. So I need to shift to the side, make space in order to pull them to the side of me. All right, so that's the beginning of drag down. Deflection, and then yank. Roll back, yank. That's the first step. In the form, right, the hand comes behind the thigh, so we're making the tiger's mouth, and it rests behind the thigh as we finish here, and we slide the foot forward. So that's another one of those. It's a hint as to what is actually really happening, because here's the tiger's mouth, right? It's here against the thigh, and it's a way of saying, remember your right hand. This is the feeling you should have in your tiger's mouth, is that there's something there. And that's why this here becomes yank, because you're yanking with here the tiger's mouth. The hand finds the arm, slides down until it finds a nook, a hook, and then you pull. So this is what we have here. Boom, boom. So in the form, the hand behind the thigh represents the hand on the opponent's arm, right? Sense memory. You should be feeling something with that hand, with the tiger's mouth. So roll back, slide forward, yank. After that, we have the knee and the hand come up. And here we have another yank before push. The push is fairly simple. So the hand comes in and finds the back of the hand. Again, this is the kind of symbolic sense memory. It's telling you your hands should come together. You should be feeling something here, because in reality, this hand is controlling your opponent's elbow. The other hand is coming in, finds the crease of the elbow, and pulls down, right? So from here, boom, pull down along the vertical. You're using the weight, bending the leg. You're using the weight to pull down before the push. Now, what about that knee going up? One of the simpler applications of that knee is simply as you yank somebody down this way, knee comes up, it's a strike to the belly, to the groin, whatever it is. As you pull them down, it's a knee strike. That's absolutely possible. Less interesting though, because this Drag down is all about yanking, right? So the more interesting aspect is after this yank here, we now have a yank up done with the knee, which means that you slide your foot, your knee is now underneath your opponent's leg, lift up, you pick up. This is a real illustration that all of these moves, these 8 basic moves that we have, right? Roll back, ward off, a press, push, and then yank, twist the joint, elbow strike, shoulder strike. Those 8 moves are 8 qualities of energy. That quality can be expressed by any limb in any direction. So I can do a yank with my hand downwards, but I can also do a yank with my knee upward. Just as we see later on that we'll do a yank sideways. Can you do a yank in any direction? So here, I'm going to use my knee to yank my opponent's knee upwards. So I'm going to try, by the way, to use the back of my leg to lift. So I'm using the muscles here as opposed to the thigh muscles. Here, you'll find it actually helps you to sit and ground yourself better as you lift your opponent's knee. So now you lift the opponent's knee, and at the same time with your hands, you're yanking him down. So you can see how you're picking up one side, or the lower side of the lower part of the body goes up, and with the hands, you're yanking the arm down. So you're creating this inversion. It's a throw, and then it becomes very easy to push, right? Because if I'm here, yank, push, right? If I'm here, my hands are here on the holding my opponent's arm, pick up, drag down. Boom. Because of course, the form breaks everything down in beats as dictated by the breath, right? Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. But the application would be done in a single breath, right? Because the breath is just there to mark time. It's not a rule. It's simply there to support the movement. So the real application would be a single breath. So let's take a look at the actual application. So in this case, if I'm going to punch, so this particular drag down is always aimed at punch to the lower body, right? There's other things you do if it's a punch to the higher body. But if I come in and I punch, so this is the first deflection. So this is roll back, and then the yank happens here. So this is the first yank, boom. And here we see, first of all, so the foot is going to move in order to make room for me to fall. So because if we go a little faster and you yank, I want to be pulled that way, right? That's the goal. So I need to fall to the side, right? Because otherwise I'm going to fall into her instead of to the side of it. So that's why we have that movement of the foot to get out of the way, right? The yank, also notice that because if I'm here and I throw a punch, that yank, hopefully, so if you do the yank, is going to make me it's going to make me stumble forward, which brings my leg closer. So now for the second half, boom, that leg is now in right position, right? So the initial yank is also what brings me closer, which allows then the next step. So if I'm here and I throw a punch, and then and I stumble forward, and then I picked up, and then I'm thrown back, right? So do that again slowly. So it's boom, yank, and then yank again, then that pickup. So that pickup of the leg is what puts me off balance. But now remember, this hand is going to go on the inside of the elbow, and then do the second yank, and that's what gets me off balance when it's followed by a push. So as usual in all these applications, the idea is that the first step doesn't work, because the reality is if I threw a punch and it was here and then there was that yank, and if I'm here, the fight is essentially over. Especially that's when the knee can just be a knee strike, to the face, to the gut, whatever it is. But the assumption is it's not enough. So I threw a punch, deflected, yanked, but I'm not dispatched enough. So now we have the second half that happens, and then I'm thrown. Exactly. So that's the idea, right? So again, nice and slow. So if I throw a punch, so remember, this is the first part, which is the deflection. This is the rollback, followed now by the yank, sitting down, sitting on that rear leg, and that front leg moves out of the way to create space. Then that foot rises up, and then that hand comes in to the elbow, yank it down, and push at the same time. And then I'm thrown. And so the effectiveness of the whole move is actually that lifting of the knee, because if we're here, and if we just do the second half, so here, if it's just a pull on the arm and then a push, it doesn't really work, right? Because I'm heavier. So in order for this to work, there has to be this sense of that lifting. So now I'm only on one leg and I can't resist now when there's the yank and push. And notice also that if, this is where it gets kind of real nasty, if that knee is lifted and then the elbow yank is done here, so on the other side of the knee, I'm being thrown to the side, right? Because my leg is going up in one direction, lose my flip-flop, my knee, my body. So now when the push arrives, there's no way I can resist that, right? So that's the idea between this lifting of the knee and yank down. You throw somebody completely off balance, essentially. But it requires and this is true of most Tai Chi applications, it actually requires that initial rollback, right? This deflection. And so now I'm off balance. So now there's no way for me to resist everything that comes next, because I've been destabilized and made incapable of actually resisting what it is, because otherwise everything that happens here would not work if there wasn't that initial yin quality to all the applications, which is true. That's why most attacks in Tai Chi are actually preceded by a rollback or some kind of deflection, right? So this is that one last time, right? So it's deflection, yank, lift, yank, and push. Exactly, right? If we did, well, obviously at this point, this is what we see in the form. There's two full breaths, right? An inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So it's been broken up and opened up for the form. Obviously, I'm going to do it to you quickly, but obviously if I'm lifting here, I'm pulling down at the same time, right? So it's this. Everything's happening simultaneously so that I can have as much impact as possible before the push. So for the form, what the form is doing is it breaks down the beats, the qualities of energy that you need to have. In the application, they would happen simultaneously, because the breath is always a support. It doesn't give you the rhythm. So something which is done in 4 or 2 full breaths in the form. So here this is inhale, exhale, inhale, and then exhale. In application would be done in a single inhale, probably, right? Because the breath is there to support. It doesn't give us a guide. It doesn't control the move. So if I'm going to do it to you, so here again, this is lift and pull simultaneously, lift and pull simultaneously, and then push. And this is why also in the form you have this push that's here, and it's low and it's weird, and the feet it's a bigger step than usual. It's not a punch. It's this weird push with a tiger's mouth. But if you do it, so I'm going to do it to you again. I'm going to go slow. So if I'm here and I yank, my hand is here. There's no punching that's going to happen. All that's going to happen here is that I'm going to push right through whatever I have. In this case, it's my tiger's mouth is still around the elbow. I just push right through, because that's all I need, because I've already stepped through. She's off balance. I'm going to push right through the body, right through the center. And that's why in the form, we do a tiger's mouth and we push. It's not a punch, it's not a thing like that. We're here, we're holding on, then we push right through the body, through the tiger's mouth, right? So we have tiger's mouth here, which is holding onto the arm, sitting down, pulling down, and then here we have the tiger's mouth here for the push. And it's all because all of this is about controlling. So tiger's mouth here, finding the wrist, and then coming through, tiger's mouth controlling the upper hand or the elbow and pushing through. So we're always doing this open hand, tiger's mouth, finding the nooks in your opponent's arm. So you don't have to look, it's not grabbing, you just slap your hand, let it slide down until it finds something that you can hang on to, and then you yank on that. That's why it's called yank, right? Yank. Same with the leg. You step through. I don't really care where exactly there's contact. I just lift. All I care about is just getting her on one leg so she's off balance. Then I can step through here, I can step through here. It all depends on where we are in the orientation. It doesn't matter because I just pick up and then I push right through, right? And that's why, again, sorry, that punch is here. The initial deflection, my hand is on the elbow and my hand is gonna stay on that elbow through the whole thing, right? Because I yank, I still want to have control of that arm because that hand can come back and try to punch me or elbow me, so I want to have control. So I come in, so here I would be picking up. See, now she's closed off, and I come in and I yank here, and then I push here. So through the whole thing, what I've done is I've closed off her body. She can't hit me with that other hand because see, the arm is in the way. So this hand stays on the elbow the entire time. So as I go through this, so if you throw the punch, the idea is I'm here, I'm controlling the whole time, and then I'm basically going through her body, right? Because I come here, boom, yank down, lift up, step right through, right? Because I'm controlling that elbow, closing the body off. Once the body's closed off, then I can do whatever and throws off. So that's drag down. Let's do it one last time. So remember the beats. So if I'm here, it's roll back, yank, and then I'm forward, and then hook, and then push, exactly. And that's roll back, and that's how it works. All right, thank you.